what's up everybody? Welcome back to Great Measures. If you have been watching our last, 6 or 8 videos, you'll see a theme where I'm being a little more open to different bands and subgenres that I might have disregarded over the years. I'm going to try to stop being a little more or as narrow-minded as I have been. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce a new feature that we're going to add to the channel. Each month I'm going to make a video about notable releases that maybe you missed, just things that stood out to me over the month. I've been listening to a lot of music, consuming a lot of different things this month, and I want to kind of feature some of those and promote a few of those if we can. So we're going to call it Monthly Measures. Kind of cheesy, but it's cool. I'm with it. I got a few here. They're in no particular order. I'm also going to leave a description or links to the bands in the description. On the yearly video that I did, I reached the character limit, so I'm going to try to condense those as much as possible, and we'll just go from there. So I'm going to start off with a band called Seven Sisters. They released a single called Heart of the Sun. I'm reading from my notes here. I took pretty diligent notes. I've seen some conflicting info about this one. I see where they are signed to Dissonance Recordings, but I think they're releasing this one independently, according to everything I've seen. I'm not really sure what that means. Either way, the album is set to be released on March the 28th. The band is based out of London, England. They've been active since around 2013, and they've released 3 full-length studio albums. Heart of the Sun is the first single from their upcoming album called Shadow of a Fallen Star Part 2. It's the follow-up to their 2021 album, Shadow of a Fallen Star Part 1. This is just straight up traditional heavy metal, kind of paying homage to the early 80s variations and versions of Maiden and Priests. I mean, I hope I'm not being insulting by saying that or lumping them into one little narrow category. Starts off with this really cool intro, guitar lead intro that sounds eerily similar or reminds me, I guess, of Electric Eye by Judas Priest. The chorus is extremely catchy, an amazing guitar solo as well. Kyle MacNeil's vocals sound a lot like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. Again, I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings by making that comparison. I don't know why I would be. I feel very confident saying that if you are a fan of Maiden and you haven't heard this band, give them a listen and you will not be disappointed. That is Heart of the Sun by Seven Sisters. The next one is a band called Warbringer. Been around since about 2004, thrash metal from California. This is a song called A Better World. It's the first single from their upcoming album Wrath and Ruin, which is set to be released on March 14th via Napalm Records. Musically, if you're a fan of Creator or Slayer, you're gonna love this one. The riffs and the overall sound of this one are very similar to Creator, more specifically. John's vocals, they have a very Tom Araya tone to them. My favorite thing about this one is probably the bleak attitude and the hopelessness that the lyrics convey. I don't know, for some reason, I love that kind of stuff. There's one notable line of the lyrics that I do want to read that I get a kick out of every time. So it says, "Each day the same as the previous one, and each day I stay on the grind as I run to that mass burial plot where I'll surely be missed. No, the world I imagined could never exist." And there's this tone and this sarcasm in the way he says where I'll surely be missed. It just puts a smile on my face every time. So that is a single called A Better World by Warbringer. Check that one out. All right, I think you're gonna see a theme here where I'm branching way out of my comfort zone. This is another one that would fall into that category. It's a band from from Italy called Bérad Deer. I'm not sure. I looked up everywhere I could find to find out how to pronounce that. The band name means guardian in Sindarin, which is the Elvish language in Tolkien's Middle-earth. So maybe some of you speak Sindarin or Sindarin. It's a full-length album called Liminal Spaces. The band was formed in 2015. It was founded by members of the melodic death metal band Chaos Edge, Stefano and Alessandro. They refer to themselves as progressive metal, and I agree with that because, you know, good freaking luck trying to come up with what this band actually is from a genre, or, you know, trying to put them into one category. There's no possible way. The album was released on January the 10th through an Italian label called Rock Shots Records. It's full of huge, really infectious choruses that will stay in your head for the next month at least. There's so many, I call them out of left field and unexpected moments that you could listen to this album 5 times in a row, nonstop, and hear something on each listen that you've missed on the ones before. No 2 songs sound the same. There's something for everybody with this one, seriously. On the band's website, they give their take on the album, and it goes like this, quote, "Our latest record marks a new step in our evolution as a band, delving into the melancholia, nostalgia, longing, and seclusion. Both lyrically and musically, it delivers a feeling of being understood. It's okay to bask in memories. We're not alone, and our burnouts and weird dreams can and do affect us. Relapsing into the same old sorrows is possible, and sometimes we just need a song to accompany us through it." That's so, and to me, that's pretty fitting, considering how the album is. The opening track, Halo, has one of those choruses that I mentioned earlier. You'll be singing it for days. There's another song called Five. It's F, like the acronym, but it's spelled F-I-V-E. Has very intricate keyboard sections that give it a synth and dark wave vibe with just amazing guitar riffs over the top of it. There's a song called Burnout. That's probably where I would say check them out first and start with this one. It's my favorite song on the album. The 2-minute and 37-second mark of the song, you'll experience the most unexpected turn of events that you've heard in a song in a long time. I can't encourage you enough to give this entire album a listen. I promise you won't find yourself bored, and when it's over, you'll probably be wishing it was a little longer. That is Bérad Deer, Liminal Spaces. All right, up next is a 3-song EP by the band Obscure Sphinx. Jesus. The EP is called Emovere. It was released on January the 6th, and they released it independently. This is sludge, doom, post-rock from Poland. Formed in 2008. This EP really encompasses all of those different subgenres and elements of those subgenres. My bad. The moment I heard the opening track, Scarcity Hunter, I was completely hooked on this one. I had no idea I cared about post-rock and post-metal as much as I do but this release has me searching for anything and everything similar, like an addict looking for his next fix. I would know. Zofia is the vocalist, and her vocals will captivate you from start to finish. She's got a beautifully haunting voice that I can't get enough of, and when she unleashes the harsh vocals, you can feel it coming from the deepest, darkest pits of her stomach. Musically, it's atmospheric with gigantic riffs and drums that sound like they're being beaten to death in the most satisfying way possible. I can't recommend this one enough. The only complaint I have is that it wasn't longer. With only 3 songs, it still clocks in at just under 30 minutes. That is Emovere by Obscure Sphinx from Poland. Up next, we got some melodic death metal from Gothenburg, Sweden, which probably tells you how this one is going to sound, but the band is called Imperishable, and it's a single called Bells. It's the first single from their upcoming album that will be released on April the 11th through Hammerheart Records. Telling you that they're from Gothenburg, pretty much a strong indicator of the sound of this one. If you like bands like Entombed, Dismember, or At the Gates, this one is for you. The song opens with only a bass playing the main riff, and the rest of the band joins in with this captivating build-up. just completely satisfied by the rest of the song. I say that because build-ups can be hit or miss, as we all know. This one is a hit. The vocals fit the song very well, the vocal styling, the vocal pattern, everything just it's really emotional. I mean, I know that's kind of hard to say about some melodic death metal, but it's a really emotional song. Some of the key changes and the riffing is really interesting. All the band members have experience in previous bands, and that's absolutely shown in Henrik's vocals. I'm extremely excited to hear the rest of this one, and April the 11th, honestly can't get here fast enough for that album. That is a single called Bells by Imperishable. Up next, I made a community post about this one a while back. It really, really stuck out to me when I heard it. It's a band called Sulfat, an album called Gemini. It's progressive thrash from France. The band was formed in 2014. The album was released independently on January the 9th. Even though they've been around since 2014, this is their first full-length release. They went on hiatus from 2016 to 2020, and I think they spent the entirety of those 4 years perfecting their craft. On their Bandcamp page, they list a few influences: Vector, Megadeth, Anacrusis, Voivod, Annihilator, and Obscura. Based on those, you can probably have an idea of what this one sounds like. They pound you over the head with unrelenting thrash from the moment the album starts. The vocals alternate between deeper growls and black metal style shrieks. Some might not like that, but I think it fits the music perfectly. Plenty of halftime classic thrash moments to balance out the technicality and proggy elements of the album. Pyre and Romain, I believe, are the two guitarists. If not, it's just one of them or both that are performing the solos, but man, the solos are so good. Very Mustaine and very Mustaine-ish from the Rust in Peace era of Megadeth. A lot of Marty Friedman in there too as well. In my opinion, this is a band with all the potential to take over the thrash world in the future. My hope is that they stay on the musical trajectory that they're on, because the possibilities are endless in my opinion. That is Gemini by Sulfat. All right, this one we just did a video about this week on our channel. I showed Judson a cover. This was the band called Harakiri for the Sky. The album is called Scorched Earth. It's post-black metal from Austria. This one was released on January the 24th via AOP Records. If you've watched the recent video, you'll kind of know what you're looking for, or what you're getting yourself into here. I'm really starting to kick myself a little harder for disregarding and kind of shooing some of these bands and these subgenres off to the side over the years. I've missed out on a really good bit, and I'm an idiot. I will admit that. From the opening keys playing on the piano to the tremolo picking, the ambient soundscapes, and the howling vocals of JJ, I was hooked on this one, and I could not get enough. And there's a Radiohead cover, which you have seen on our video, or if you haven't, go back and watch it. Judson's a big Radiohead fan and does appreciate this cover. Honestly, you can just press play on the first song and let it play all the way through. You'll be going back for more, I promise. That is Scorched Earth from Harakiri for the Sky. Okay, up next we got a band that I also made another community post about called Besna, and the album is called Krásno. I'm probably mispronouncing both of those. This is post-black metal from Slovakia. The band was formed in 2014. It was released independently on January the 16th. Krásno means beauty, and this one is beautiful. Again, me and bands with post-genres are going to get along just fine. I made a community post. I'm sorry, I already said that. This one's captivating and grabs your attention from start to finish. I think the most attention-grabbing part of this album is the way it weaves in and out of different sounds and emotions, peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, etc. According to their Bandcamp page, the album, quote, explores themes of societal stagnation, personal isolation, ecological collapse, and the search for meaning in an unjust world. Through 7 intense tracks, it critiques the passive acceptance of authority, the cyclical nature of cynicism, and the desire for self-expression amidst a declining culture and ongoing war. And I probably couldn't have said that better myself. I know I couldn't have. So that is Krásno by Bezna. All right, up next, we're going to go back to some more thrash. We've got a band called Hazard, and the album is called The Third Dimension. This is thrash metal from Canada. The Third Dimension was released on January the 17th via M Theory Audio. If you're a fan of Death Angel, Havoc, or Megadeth, you're in for a treat with this one. Very well produced and mixed. The sound on this one is great, just overall. That's probably the first thing that stood out to me. Then I realized the drummer, Dylan Westendorp, is also the vocalist. I'm aware that's not the first time that happened, but I can't even imagine being able to do that. Very impressive. Check out the song Scars. If you don't like it, then you don't like thrash. Don't think that the drummer / vocalist would overshadow the guitars and bass, because they take center stage plenty of times on this album. Torian Shadlick is credited as the lead guitarist, and if that's him performing all the solos, he's an absolute monster. This might not seem like something that's associated with a genre as cut and dry and straightforward as thrash, but this album is really full of nuance. It also has a few surprises that I was really excited about. One in particular is on the song Unto Ashes. Right after the solo concludes at the 4-minute and 50-second mark, the music stops. The guitarist basically deconstructs the main riff as if he's giving a how to play tutorial on YouTube. It slows it down and he starts it with a single note. It's really, really cool how he does it. He gradually picks up speed over the next 20 seconds and the rest of the band joins in to play along. It's got a real behind the curtain construction of a riff feel that was really exciting to hear. I'd never listened to Hazard before this one was released, but I went back and listened to their other stuff, and it's also top notch. But this is superior to those others in my opinion. That's not to be disrespectful to the previous releases. Overall, one of the best modern thrash albums I've heard in a long time. That is The Third Dimension by Hazard. Up next is a band called Dawn of Solace. The album, that's a single. The single is called Invitation. It's the third single released from their upcoming album called Affliction Vortex that will be released on February the 14th via Noble Demon, which is the same label as our Israeli friends, Winter Horde. Shout out to Emovere for that. Melodic doom metal from Finland. My first introduction to Tuomas, I don't know how to pronounce his name, was 2024. He's also the vocalist for Wolfheart and does a lot of the instruments. Wolfheart released an album called Draconian Darkness. I unintentionally left them off my list of favorite albums from 2024, honestly, because I just forgot to make a note on that one. I do recommend visiting that one if you haven't already. Tuomas does everything. Multi-instrumentalist, singer, and he's the producer. He plays most of, if not all, the instruments in his bands. Just an extremely talented guy. As far as the singles goes, if I'm in a mood for doom, this is my go-to right now. The clean vocalist, Mikko, has the perfect voice to accompany the music. The verses are accompanied by clean guitars that set the stage for a perfectly crafted chorus that couldn't have fit the song any better. I'm excited to hear the rest of the album, and I'll be watching for everything that Tuomas releases going forward. This one is called Dawn. The single is called Invitation by Dawn of Solace. Up next, we got one from the thrash legends, Destruction. It's a single called A.N.G.S.T. From the upcoming album Birth of Malice, set to be released on March the 7th via Napalm Records. Metal Archives says it's being released independently, but they're signed to Napalm Records, so somebody help me confirm if that one is correct. I'm sure most of you know Destruction if you're fans of thrash. Been around since 1983 from Germany. The song starts off as a halftime rhythmic rocking back and forth headbanging fest, and then around the 2:55 mark It picks up the pace for a brief moment and then delivers some prototypical thrash riffing and drumming that will never, ever, ever get old to me. Lyrically, the song actually has a pretty uplifting message. The opening lyrics are, quote, "Life is a challenge, we are doomed to fail. We are overthinking how to prevail. The final enemy is your inner self. Beat your own mind and no one else." Pretty positive in my opinion. This one had me pretty animated physically from the first listen, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. I bet you can't listen to this one and not nod your head. All right, up next is a single called "The Waves, the Sky, and the Pyre" by a band called Irb Altor. Probably butchering that as well. This is the second single released from the upcoming album called Morker. I don't know. Sorry. I apologize if those are wrong. Set to be released on February the 7th via Hammerheart Records. This is epic Viking metal from Sweden. Pretty much tells you all you need to know. But I hope that label really doesn't offend them, but it has all the hallmarks of Viking metal and is literally as epic gets. After one listen, you'll be starting it over and singing along. There's a really catchy moments vocally in this one. The guy has a huge, just this huge singing voice that kind of commands attention and takes over. I think his name is Ragnar, whose real name I believe is Daniel. I'm trying to do as much research on these as possible. I'm probably wrong, but whoever the vocalist is has a great voice. The music and vocal combo paints one of the most beautiful Scandinavian landscapes that you can imagine. No chance you can listen to this one and not imagine long hair, big beards, and even bigger swords. I'll be waiting anxiously for the rest of the album. That is "The Waves, the Sky, and the Pyre" by Irb Altor. All right, another one. This is another one of those where I branched out a little bit and listened to something that I normally wouldn't listen to. This is a band called 16, and it's a single called "Proudly Damned." It's the first single from their upcoming album called "Guides for the Misguided." It will be released on February the 7th via Relapse Records. Sludge metal from California. If you're a fan of Acid Bath, I Hate God, or Crowbar, you'll appreciate this one. This band's been around since '91, and I'm ashamed to say that I've never heard of them before this single. I've started to dive a little deeper into the world of sludge, and I'm loving pretty much everything that I'm hearing. Again, I've been missing out. This one consists of the usual sludgy, down-tuned, chug-style riffs, then has a couple of sections of dual harmonizing guitars that lead into a shredding, wah-heavy guitar solo. There's a line, I guess you would call it the chorus. The way it's delivered just gets me every time, and the line says, "As she lays down beside you, don't push the witch away." Sounds simple, but the way it's delivered, it's really good. Kind of sitting around in anticipation. Got another week before this album comes out. You should be watching out for this one. That is "Proudly Damned" by 16. All right, here's another one. This is technical death metal. This one got me really excited because I'm a big fan of Spawn of Possession, but this is a single called "The Tree" from a band called Retromorphosis. This is the second single from their upcoming album Salmus Mortis, set to be released on February the 21st via Season of Mist. Shout out to Season of Mist, always doing good stuff. Technical death metal from Sweden. I'm assuming that's because, I think it's Sweden, but I think that's because that's where Spawn of Possession is from, and the band is essentially Spawn of Possession with a couple of different members. Here's a quick excerpt from the Season of Mist website about the band. Quote, "Jonas Bristling and his Spawn of Possession bandmates have once again joined forces with ex Obscura and Necrophagist guitarist Christian. They've added former Decrepit Birth drummer Casey Howard to the equation, along with a few new old school bells and whistles. I cannot wait to hear the rest of the album. Looks like it's 8 songs, and I hope that's enough to satiate my appetite for this style of tech death, because it's so good." And that's all I've got. That is some of my favorite releases of January the 2025. Go check some of these out, guys. They're really good. Some of them are lesser known bands. Some of them don't have the the promotion of big labels, and they need all of the streams and views that they can get. They're really worth taking the time to listen to. If you guys enjoyed this one, please let me know in the comments, because I want to continue to do this. But you know, if it's not something you guys are interested in, that's fine too. Just let me know. I'm just here to help promote bands that might not get the promotion that they deserve. Anyways, that's all of them for January 2025. I'll see you guys again in February, and I hope you have a wonderful day.